All right, welcome to the HN vlog again. Today's topic is an interesting one. It's call it the David and Goliath topic, which is very important for the young entrepreneur to understand it and to really adopt, because there's a new narrative that is happening right now that trying to limit. I call this the potential, the entrepreneurial potential, right? Especially around African entrepreneurs. And because now Africa, at least the innovation and the continent has been on the map when it comes to investment, and there's so much happening, and it's going to hopefully keep growing and growing. There seems to be this new narrative that, you can't get into a certain sector because it's been dominated by XYZ. Whether it's fintech, edtech, or this guy started, this edtech company or fintech, raised X amount of money, then there's no room for you to maneuver anymore. There's no innovation to be done because they dominate. And that's just a very, very dangerous narrative, right? And David and Goliath is one of my favorite stories. I'm not religious, but it's the story in the Bible. It's a very known story. If you don't know it, Google it. But I'll try to summarize it, and visualize it. David was, it happened in Israel, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a little guy, and there was a fight going on. There was a battle that was going to happen, and so instead of, causing mayhem, they decided to select two people to fight, and whoever wins the fight will solve everything. So David was this little guy, had this tool, this stone, and Goliath was this monster dude. And if you see some of the pictures of the ancient books, they're very impressive. And David won the battle, all right? And against all odds. If this was a battle from boxing or whatever sports, they would have been like, there's no way David's gonna win. There's no way David is gonna win this fight. And out of all against all odds, he won the battle. And yet he was much smaller, much weaker, but he find a way to dethrone the big and massive, strong Goliath. And that's what in entrepreneurship is. There's so many David and Goliath story out there, well documented. That shouldn't make you fear if you have a big idea and somebody come through and able to have a head start and get something similar, raise tons of money, and get into building this idea that you can do it and improve on it and beat them at their own game. And there's so many stories. Blockbuster and Netflix is one of my favorite one, right? Is Apple and IBM, very known one also. There's so many where when you get started, all odds are against you, but you find a way. You find a way for multiple reasons. And this is what I found out, so there's two things I want to talk about. Why am I talking about this topic? Well, a lot of time when I talk to investors and we tell them our vision, which is ultimately build this new type of distributed cloud infrastructure. Ultimately, that's what ARED is focusing on. The story becomes, well, there's already cloud infrastructure. AWS is on it, Google, it has their own cloud. How are you going to compete with them? Blah, 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 blah. And it made me realize, first of all, how short-minded, how limited-minded a lot of people are, right? If you can't think big, don't try to limit somebody else because your mind is not able to concisely, see the vision. It's okay. But don't try to limit the person, right? The second thing is, you as an entrepreneur, don't be scared of thinking big. As a matter of fact, the bigger you think, the bigger your impact will be, right? The bigger chance you have to solve a major problem. Absolutely. And a lot of time we think, well, when I say we, investors, some people, I've heard it so many times, even around my circle, some of my staff, my colleague, and they tell you, well, they have the resources. The big companies have the resources to crush you. They have the team to crush you. They have the money. In a perfect world, you're right. But do they have your vision? No, they don't. No, they don't. We think because it's a big company, they don't have failed project within those companies. They have plenty of failed projects. I remember reading the Loom project from Google. A few $100 million they spent to close up the project at the end. Even though I don't believe in the word failure, because I think there's no such thing as failure. I think you learn, as long as you learn and grow from any experience, then it's successful. Whether the business closed or not, that's irrelevant. But you as an individual, your team has grown, learned a lot and all, but that's besides the point. So we think because those companies have PhDs in their team, they have the cream of the crop from Stanford, all the top schools, and they have billions of dollars of resources, they don't make mistakes. No, that's not true. They're human just like anybody else. And sometimes having so much resources make you complacent, make you relaxing. It doesn't make you hungry for knowledge, hungry on how to solve a problem. It doesn't push you to the edge. You get stuck in theory and all those things. That's why most innovation happen at an early stage when you have almost nothing, no resources. Because it's when your back is against the wall that your mind works so much more efficiently. You can achieve with 2-3 people what 100 people cannot achieve because they don't have your hunger. They don't have your passion, right? And a lot of them work for a paycheck. Yes, they make 6 figures, 7 figures. They work for a paycheck, right? And ultimately, a lot of them I've seen complicate the problem. I was talking to this entrepreneur, well, it was also an investor entrepreneur, and he was trying to develop a solution in the health sector. And it was a very complex, they built it from scratch, the operating system, so on and so forth. It was an embedded system aspect. And when it was time to implement it, that's him telling me the story. And when it was time to implement it, he met a young team from Kenya who used the open source solution to solve the similar problem. It was dead in the water. He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. This team, this group of people, young people, spend almost nothing to solve the same problem, right? So don't project the ultimately what was not going to happen before it happens. That's not your job. Your job is to find a problem you want to solve and find the simplest way to get to that solution. That's your job. And spend time and energy, solving that issue in a very simple manner as quickly as possible. And learn from your mistakes and grow and all those. Don't worry about the competition. Don't worry about who's doing what. Don't worry about who's bigger than you, who's smaller than you, so on. So those are distractions. They will distract you and get you off the road, right? You gotta, and even if they get big, even if you don't compete and beat them into their own game, who cares? As long as you have got 5, 10, 15, 20% of the share of the market, that's still a success. We think it's all or nothing mentality. That's Silicon Valley BS, if you ask me, right? You just got to find a way to solve a problem the most efficient way, the most cost-effective way, with the right team, all right? And learn along the way to keep improving, so on and so forth. And you'll get there. Of course, you need to listen to your customers. Absolutely. That's very important. But if you're not raising the money you need, right? If you keep looking at your competitor and see, oh, they're raising X, 10X, so on and so forth, and all those things, it's going to demoralize you. It's going to crush you because you're going to look at them as they're getting that money. They must be doing something much better than me. And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. In most of the cases, it's not, it's not true. So my message on this video is very simple. Go and follow your dream. And block everything else that can get you distracted. And find the best way to solve it. And when you come to that point where you find who's your competitor when your product is done and all those things, find a way to improve on it. Even if it means very limited resources, always keep going and find keep on fighting and finding the right solution until you can get to the business side of things and build your business and get revenue, so on and so forth. Don't worry about the big guys. Don't worry about the guys that are able to move much faster than you or raise much more money than you. And if you're talking to investors and they tell you, hey, such and such is doing that, I don't think you'll beat them. That person is not the right person for you anyway. So move on. Don't take it personal. They don't know better. Again, they're limited by the information and their knowledge. So by living in this limitation box, they're trying to put you in that same box. Don't fall into that trap, man. It is a trap. I'm going to end with this, man. I posted it on LinkedIn not long ago. And this dude is my hero, man. Literally my hero. A young dude building a car in Nigeria, I think. Building a luxury car. He designed it from scratch. Built it with no resources, as far as I know. No money, no nothing. And that car came out beautiful. And when I saw that story, I was like, the car industry, it's a massive, massive, massive capital guzzler. Like, it's almost, for you to build a car business with limited resources, it's almost impossible. I hate that word impossible. It's almost impossible. But this guy designed and built a prototype. What excuse do you have? What is your excuse? What is my excuse? Sometimes I'll be like, man, I'm tired of this, man. I'm not achieving this. I'm not getting this. Da-da-da-da-da. Every time I look at that picture, I'm like, what is our excuse? This dude did the impossible. I don't even think, even if I had the passion, I don't think I'll reach that level. He did the impossible. Went to school. He couldn't find support for this. He went back to school, learned about it and all. We have no excuse. We have all the resources internally, mind, intelligence to achieve any goal we want, man. The question is, are you willing to go to that path? Because it's a tough one, man. So, David and Goliath, man, don't be scared, man. Don't let fear stop you, man. Just chase your dream, And only time and the universe will tell you, how to maneuver to solve whatever. Keep doing it. All right, man. Put your comment down. Let me know what you believe in the David and Goliath story, and if it's possible today to dominate certain, sector without having to work, even if there's already big player in those sectors. Take care, and till next time.